Hi guys, it's Steve here. Now some of you might know me as Skills from the Freelancer and Constellation Amend videos. As you know, StarCitizen is running its own competition to design your own spaceship. I would have liked to enter, but I've never created anything for in-game before, so I wouldn't have been able to completely finish a ship like they wanted us to. I had already started to design this ship months before the competition was even announced. And once I'd done as much as I could, I was going to send it them to see if they'd want to add it in-game. But now they're doing this competition, I want to show you what I had planned if the rules were a bit different. Okay, first, a little about me. I worked in the advertising industry as a graphic designer for over 20 years and got as far as I could, so I started to teach myself 3D and set up by myself as a 3D freelancer / one-man advertising agency. The work I do is varied and wide-ranging, from creating logos, visuals and displays, to engineering animations and company presentations. I'm a huge lifelong sci-fi fan who's seen just about everything ever made. I also watch a lot of military, history and engineering programs as mechanical stuff interests me. I spend most of my free time gaming and play a lot of different games, from first-person shooter, strategy and building, to MMOs, RPG and space sims. To enter the competition, I wanted us to design a team logo and a particle wave cannon. I was already working on a job, so I only had 2 weeks on and off to work on them. So I started with a logo. I wasn't sure what I was going to call my team, but I wanted something that would work as an in-game corporation. And because it was my fictional company, I might as well have my name in it, Jackson, which is my surname. My company's short backstory was of a large British engineering firm that had merged with a Japanese one. I then started to create the logo outline in a vector program, then import it into a 3D program. I do this because it gives me a good idea of how the final logo will look. I tried Jackson Laboratories, but the logo looked too basic. Then I tried Jackson Corporation. I liked the initials in the round circle, and I knew I wanted the final logo to look something like this. Then the Jackson Group. It was okay, but I didn't like the word group. I finally decided on the company name of Jackson Engineering, as that would cover the manufacture of ships and weapons. I did a few scamps on a piece of paper. Even though I like the rounded logo, I tried a few in a square format to see if I could come up with anything better. After doing this, it was obvious that adding red, white and blue would make a good American team logo. But I'm not from the States, and I wanted it to look a little less like a flag. Also, there was a dead section in the top left I wasn't happy about. So I changed the colours to black and orange. Then I changed the top left section to an S for Steve Jackson or Skills Jackson Engineering. I had developed the square logo enough, so I did a few more scamps for the round one. I took the E from the square logo and cropped it within a circle, then finally came up with a logo I loved in the top right. And here's the final version. The shape of it and adding the red colour fits well with the Japanese look I was aiming for. It's simple, easy to recognise and works well as a big corporate logo, plus it would look really good on the side of a ship. Okay, now onto the particle wave cannon. I gave an example of a Gatling gun I wanted us to base ours upon. It was from an A10 Warthog. The weapon would be energy based and fire bosons, so I did a search for bosons and it came up with a large hadron collider. That became my inspiration for the gun's firing mechanism to be round. I started sketching a few ideas. I design a lot in my mind when I lay down at night, so the rough drawings are just reminders so I don't forget by morning. Then I started to create other different variations. I decided to split the gun into 3 main sections: the barrel, the power unit, and the firing mechanism. I did it that way so I could change the different units around to create a better looking gun. I create a rough models in 3D because it gives you a good idea what you'll end up with. I had always liked the rounded back section for the firing mechanism, and I loved the final tall barrel design. I then decided to merge the power units from gun 1 and 5, then brought all the weapon sections together. This would be the basis for my gun. Then, after a lot of work, I came up with this. It still needs to be remodelled and textured for in-game, but you get a good idea of what I was trying to achieve. The top back section needs to be flat, as that's a part that will be mounted into the ship's nose. The gun can also be mounted sideways, as you would need to on the end of a Hornet's wing. Inside each barrel chamber is a set of magnetic field rails that help guide and accelerate the energy projectile forward from the cannon. Energy is transferred from a central power unit and is cycled around the back section until it's ready to be fired. The top back section has an exhaust system that vents waste particles and energy. When the weapon fires, the barrel rotates to its next chamber. The cycle of energy inside the back section makes one full rotation for each shot, so the faster the gun fires, the faster the back section cycles. Having a tall chamber allows for the projectile to be a different shape. Here we have a standard wave projectile shape, and as it's for a multi-particle wave cannon, it works quite well. Here's one last look at the cannon. It still needs a bit of work, but the main part's done. When it's textured, it should look a lot better than it does now. Okay, now onto the ship. Please remember this is just to show you the concepts I had in mind. Instead of creating the outside of the ship, then try to fit everything inside. I'm going to build the ship from the inside out and make sure everything works well and that the functionality inside will then guide what the outside hull will look like. The first level. This is its minimal blocked out size, so all the compartments should end up being larger. Blue is the bridge, light grey is a cargo hold and vehicle storage bay. The dark grey middle section is a hard room. It holds weapon racks, storage lockers and spacesuits. Pink are the airlock doors. Light blue is a medic bay, and purple is the extendable docking airlock. This is level 2. Green is the main living and social area. Yellow are the crew quarters. Dark grey is a corridor. The side reds are engine access. The back red is a power room. And the 2 light greys are just spare at the moment. From this layout, the ship's hull starts to take its basic shape. From the back needs to be flat because when you get enough money, you can buy a huge cargo module. Of course you can't just stick it on the back by itself. You will also have to get a rear engine module to rebalance the ship. Then later you can purchase a second cargo unit. When you purchase a new section to the ship, I want it to be a big event, an achievement you can be proud of by showing a big animated cutscene. The ship sections would be aligned up. Then the cargo pods fitted into position. The units locked together. Then reveal your new larger ship ready to take off. To fit 3 cargo pods, you will also need a mid-engine unit. And then finally the 4th cargo pod. In this configuration, the ship has 3 turrets on top and 3 turrets underneath. All are controlled by up to 2 people on the bridge. This is the engine movement of the ship coming into land. The engine's split into 2 to give a greater thrust over a wider area, making the ship more stable and easier to control. This is the inside of the cargo unit. It is split into 2 levels, with each loaded separately, like this. Or you can load just one huge item. However, if you were willing to pay a lot more, instead of a cargo pod, you could fit a hangar module. Each hangar supports a ship the size of a Super Hornet, so if you fit 4 hangars, you have your very own mini carrier. Then whenever you're under attack, your friends can board their ships and undock. Or when the battle is over, you fly underneath your ship again, and the docking cranes bring you aboard. If you go into a very dangerous part of space, you could get 4 friends on standby to man the fighters. Then, if you get to your destination, you can sell the fighters in your bays. If you didn't want to fight a bay to defend yourself, you could have unmanned drone units, if they actually have those in game. Or you could have a salvage and repair station. Or a military unit carrying missile launchers, but that might be a little overpowered. The front bottom section of your ship is an extendable airlock. So if you come across any derelict spaceships on your travels, you can lock onto it with your main crane arm, retract the arm and pull it closer to your ship, then use the airlock to climb aboard. Or, if the other ship does have an airlock, you can lock on, then dock directly to it. Also, if you wanted to dock up with a small space station that couldn't accommodate the size of your ship, you could still lock onto the outside airlock, dock up, then board the station. And finally, if you're under a major attack and you absolutely must escape without dying, then you can decouple the entire back section and make your escape. You will be leaving behind items that are worth many more times than the ship section you're trying to escape in, but at least you have the choice to. Well, that's my ship concept. If you like it and would want to buy one, post your comments in the box below. Oh, and see if you can come up with a good name for it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the verse.